We are the Aspirant Network, and this is the 6th episode of the Are You Done series. Today we will be covering Buddhism, its core ideas, key terms associated to Buddhism, and art and culture related to Buddhism. The agenda of this series is simple and straightforward. It is a PYQ mapped series that will check the depth of your preparation, help you rebrush the basics, and give you the necessary confidence to ace this topic. Let's begin. The first question we must answer is, what is the core of Buddhism? What is the fundamental problem that Buddhism is trying to address? At its core, Buddhism is considered with one fundamental problem, that is suffering. This suffering is explained through Four Noble Truths. The Four Noble Truths are that life is suffering, which is dukh. Suffering is caused by desire, which is tanha. The suffering can end, which is the cessation of your desire. And this suffering can end through what we called the Eightfold Path, which is the Ashtangika Marg. So Buddhism, in a sense, is not about God or ritual. It is about ending suffering through discipline of mind and conduct. The second fundamental question we must answer is how Buddhism defines Nirvana, and what is the distinction between Nirvana and Jainism's Keval Gyan. Nirvana is one of the most misunderstood concepts in Buddhism and in general. First, let me tell you what it is not. It is not heaven. It is not annihilation of self. It is not some mystical eternal state. Nirvana is the extinction of desire, of ignorance, and of attachment. It marks the end of the cycle of birth and rebirth, which we call samsara. Nirvana is the psychological liberation, not the physical or metaphysical destruction. Keval Gyan, on the other hand, is the knowledge that makes one free. So what is Keval Gyan? It is the precursor to liberation. It is a precursor to moksha or nirvana. Keval Gyan, in a sense, is perfect consciousness. It is self-realization. The third question we ask ourselves and should ask ourselves is, what is the difference between Bodhisattva, Arhat, and Sramana? Śramaṇa refers to non-Vedic ascetic traditions in ancient India. It includes within its fold traditions like Buddhism, Jainism, and other renunciatory traditions like the Ajivika tradition. It rejects Vedic authority and rituals and it emphasizes renunciation, meditation, and self-discipline. Think of the Shramanic tradition as a larger intellectual movement to which Buddhism, Jainism, and Ajivika belong. What is Arhat? Arhat is the ideal of early Buddhism, what we call the Theravada tradition, which is also called the lesser wheel. An Arhat is somebody who has achieved Nirvana. That is, he has ended the cycle of birth and rebirth, what we know as samsara. Arhat focuses on individual liberation. A Bodhisattva, on the other hand, is central to Mahayana Buddhism, what we call the greater wheel. A Bodhisattva is somebody who is capable of achieving Nirvana, but delays it voluntarily. A Bodhisattva works for the liberation of all beings. So think about it this way. Śramaṇa is the tradition. Arhat is the ideal for self-liberation. And Bodhisattva is the ideal of universal compassion. Which makes sense because early Buddhism was inward dwelling. The later Buddhism was outward in its orientation, believed in compassion as against individuality. The next question we must answer is, what are Paramitas? Paramitas, in a sense, means perfections. These are moral qualities required to the path to enlightenment. Enlightenment by who? By the Bodhisattva. The perfections include things like generosity, patience, and wisdom. Think of Paramitas not as a philosophy, but as moral training steps that helps the Bodhisattva attain enlightenment and help everyone he encounters along his path, being universally compassionate. We now come to art and culture. Ajanta, Ellora, Bagh Caves. These are important because all of these have repeatedly been asked as PYQs. For covering any such question, there are certain things that you should know about them. You should know the location, the number of caves, to what religion did they belong to, the chronological sequence, the type of caves, the themes, and prominent examples. Let's begin. Ajanta is located in Maharashtra. In the Vaghora river valley. So the river that flows through there is Vaghora. This is located in the Aurangabad district. It is a total of 30 caves. The entire complex of Ajanta belongs exclusively to Buddhism. In terms of chronology, it is divided into early phase and the later phase. The early phase was when the Satavahanas were active, which makes it 2nd century BCE and 1st century CE. The later phase was coterminous with the Vakataka dynasty. In the Vakataka dynasty, the most famous being the king Harisena, 5th century CE. You should remember Satavahanas for Gautamiputra Satkarni, and Satavahanas issued lead coins. Keep making these interconnections. It helps you revise better. In terms of types of caves, Ajanta encompasses both chaityas, which are your prayer halls, and viharas, which are your monastic residences. Which is why we had the Nalanda Mahavihara. It housed thousands of monks. In terms of themes, Ajanta has depictions of the Jataka stories. The Jataka stories are stories from Buddha's previous births, and Ajanta has a strong Mahayana Buddhist influence. It includes depictions like Bodhisattva Padmapani and Bodhisattva Vajrapani. This happens to be cave number 1, which you must bear in mind. We next move to the Ellora caves. Ellora caves are again located in Maharashtra. It is a total of 34 caves. It belongs to 3 religious denominations. We have Buddhism, Hinduism, and Jainism. In Buddhism, we have caves 1 to 12. In Hinduism, we have caves 13 to 29, and Jainism is caves 30 to 34. Chronology. Ajanta caves were predominantly built during the Rashtrakuta dynasty. The most important king for Ellora and the patronage context of Ellora was King Krishna I. He built the Kailashanath temple or the Kailasha temple, which is cave number 16. It is renowned as the largest monolithic structure carved from top to bottom from a basalt cliff. You should also try and recall geography concepts while revising medieval and ancient history. The period the Rashtrakutas were active in was the 6th to 10th century CE. The prominent cave in Ellora is also Vishwakarma Cave, which is also called the Carpenter's Cave. This is cave number 10. Lastly, we need to cover the Bagh Caves. The Bagh Caves are located at MP in the Vindhyan range. The river that flows through it is the Baghini River. It is a total of 9 caves. It belongs entirely to Buddhism. Constructed during 5th to 6th centuries. This time period is known as the Gupta period. And these caves were strongly patronized by local Gupta rulers and merchants. It includes within its complex Buddhist mural paintings and it most closely resembles the Ajanta school of paintings. It depicts monastic narratives, Buddhist narratives, and life scenes. The most important in the Bagh Caves is cave number 4, which is Rang Mahal. So cave number 4, Rang Mahal for Bagh Caves. Cave number 10, Vishwakarma Caves for Ellora. And cave number 16 for Ajanta. Lastly, we have the Sudama and Lomas Rishi caves. Again, what you need to know is where are they located? Which period did they belong to? Who patronized them? And what is the religious association? Sudama and Lomas Rishi caves both are located in the Barabar hills. Of Bihar. They were patronized by the Mauryan Empire, particularly Ashoka, with possible later additions under kings like Dashrath. The period they belong to is the 3rd century BCE. And the religious association they most closely come from and linked to are the Ajivika sect, which was a contemporary ascetic tradition of early Buddhism and Jainism. In fact, Makkali Gosal, who was the founder of the Ajivika sect, was also a contemporary of Gautam Buddha and Mahavir. Why these caves are being studied in this context is because they mark the beginning of the Indian rock cut architecture, with Lomas Rishi cave acting as a structural prototype for later Buddhist Chaitya halls. And hence, these caves are definitively something that should be studied alongside Buddhist art and architecture. We now come to the questions. In 2010, we were asked, there are only 2 known examples of cave paintings of Gupta period in ancient India. One of these is the Ajanta caves. Where is the other surviving example of Gupta paintings? The answer, of course, is Bagh Caves, located in MP. Total of 9 caves. River that is important is Baghini. Range that is important is Vindhyan. Cave that is important is Rang Mahal. Ellora Caves, Lomas Rishi Caves, Nashik Caves. These two have already been covered. In 2013, we were asked, which one of the following best describes the concept of Nirvana in Buddhism? Is it the complete annihilation of self? No. Is it a state of bliss and rest? No. Is it a mental stage beyond all comprehension? No. It is the extinction of the flame of desire and expectation. In 2013 again, we were asked, some Buddhist rock-cut caves are called chaityas while the others are called viharas. What is the fundamental difference between the two? Vihara is a place of worship while chaitya is a dwelling place for monks. No. Chaitya is the place of worship while vihara is the dwelling place of monks. That is correct. In 2016, we were asked, what is our common to the two historical places known as Ajanta and Mahabalipuram? Both were built in the same period? No. The Ajanta caves were built from 2nd century BCE to 1st century CE. The later phase of it was 5th century CE. Versus Mahabalipuram was built in the 7th century BCE. Mahabalipuram is predominantly associated to the Pallava dynasty. Mahabalipuram is also called Mamalapuram on its creator, who was also called Mamala. The king associated to this is Narasimhavarman I. They both belong to the same religious denomination? No. Mahabalipuram belongs to Hinduism. Ajanta belongs exclusively to Buddhism. Both have rock-cut monuments. Yes, that is absolutely correct. Mahabalipuram is famous for its Panchratha temples, and it is famous for a relief structure which is called Arjuna's Penance, or the descent of the Ganges. In 2017, we were asked, the painting of Bodhisattva Padmapani is one of the most famous and oft illustrated paintings at Ajanta. In 2020, we were asked, with reference to the cultural history of India, which one of the following is the correct description of the term Paramitas? Are Paramitas the earliest Dharma Sutra text written in aphoristic sutra style? No. This is a description of Dharma Sutras. Are Paramitas the philosophical schools that did not accept the authority of the Vedas? No. This refers to Gnostic schools that reject Vedas like Buddhism, Jainism and Charvak, as opposed to Astic schools like Nyaya and Vedant. Are Paramitas perfections whose attainment led to the Bodhisattva path? That is absolutely correct. Paramitas like generosity, morality, patience, effort, meditation and wisdom. And let us also look at option number D, which is powerful merchant guilds of early medieval South India. You should be familiar with these keywords. They are Ayavol, Manigramam, and Nana Desi. These keywords can be asked as it is, and you must not get them wrong. And that brings us to a wrap for this particular session. I'll see you in the next episode of Are You Done? Until then, keep revising, keep questioning, and don't move on until you are actually done. Thank you for your time. Have a wonderful day.